Michigan State goes down despite the fact they were up by 11 in the first half. They had the exact same score, but in inverse fashion, first half to second half, which forced the overtime. And in OT, they got outscored 9-3 to lose the game and to end their season. And with that, we welcome you into Chicago's edition of The Big Show. Mike Hall and Jess Settles here. To be clear, it was 44-33 Michigan State in the first half. It was 44-33 UCLA in the second half. What changed?
Just Michigan State made some critical mistakes down the stretch. I mean, they had this game in the bag. You've got to give UCLA credit. Michigan State could not stay in front of their guards, but they gave up the critical offensive rebound late, which led to the and one. Aaron Henry late in this game shoots an air ball to try to win it. They come out in overtime. Rocket Watts puts up an air ball, then a turnover. Then they gave up another costly offensive rebound. Then they fouled late when they didn't have to. And so just big mistakes, Mike, that sort of haunted Michigan State the entire year. They were the better team in this game, but they just fell apart late, and you can't win when you turn it over and you don't box out.
This is a team that now falls to 2-5 all-time in overtime in the NCAA tournament. Didn't it feel like this whole year there was a player missing?
Yeah.
Didn't it feel like if Aaron Henry was the second option on this team, they'd be a 3 or a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament? But there was never that second scorer. He was their A guy. They never really developed a B guy.
It was so inconsistent, right? Their team and their players. And the guy that they couldn't have step up was a point guard. They came into this season replacing the best point guard in college basketball. Rocket Watts was not up for the task every single night to play that position. They went with Hoggard. He's young. They ended up putting Aaron Henry there a lot, especially late in games. So Tom Izzo just could never make up his mind. No one would step up. You're exactly right, Mike. They needed more from that position. It got everybody discombobulated, and it led to so many inconsistencies. They beat top teams in the country one week, lose to lower-seeded teams the next week.
Right. You know, the other thing that's really weird about this loss is the broadcast made a big deal at halftime with Michigan State up by 11. Tom Izzo got into it with Gabe Brown. And those of us who follow Michigan State pretty closely know that usually means they're clicking. If they're going at each other, that's when Spartan basketball is working. And yet, for some reason, when they came out in the second half, they were instantly flat.
They were flat. They just couldn't buy a bucket. They couldn't guard anybody. Sort of the same thing that happened against Maryland, where they could not stay in front of those quicker guards. They lost their composure. I thought the bench for Michigan State was phenomenal in this game. Brown did some wonderful things. Bingham was outstanding, but they just got little from that point guard position. They fell apart, and yet they had the game in their hands late. There's just uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, Michigan State doesn't usually get beat on the glass when it matters the most, and they usually don't turn the ball over when it matters the most.
Yeah, and yet they did. Weird game for the Spartans for sure. You will hear